Hello, I'm Jeremy, and I'm the main developer of Raid on Redwood. And I wanted to take this opportunity to create my first devlog video, kind of introducing myself and to give you a brief glimpse at my game dev journey that I've taken. I'm from the Midwest. I've been playing games all of my life, and some of my favorite games are Fallout, BioShock. I also like The Witcher, and of course, Red Dead Redemption is also a huge inspiration to me, as you can see from the game I've made. I've been doing game development for about 2 years now. It kind of all started on this engine called Game Maker Studio. Such games like Hotline Miami were made on that engine. I made a small little game called Murder Jack, which was a top-down 2D slasher that basically was about a murderous lumberjack going through a camp. So it's kind of like Friday the 13th, but with that lumberjack twist on it. Um, the other game that I made was Fortress, which was another kind of top-down wave survival game that had you play as a archer that had a bow and arrow, and you had to protect kind of the front door of this fortress from being invaded by a army of goblins. It kind of was a good groundwork for the game that I wanted to make that eventually became Raid on Redwood. Kind of my game dev journey kind of took a turn when I entered my first game jam in my hometown of Wichita, and I got to experience a lot of cool individuals that I could get a lot of feedback from. It was really great to be a part of that game jam because you can do so much with a limited amount of time, so it was really kind of great to get that sort of experience. And another draw for me into this industry and what's keeping me pushing forward was, at that game jam, seeing all those people play my game. And there's some people who are even, were addicted to it, that just wouldn't get off of the game. Having that sort of, visual reward, keeps me, pushing forward even to this day. So, the game jam was really great. I did take a little bit of a hiatus, but I eventually got back into the game development and I wanted to learn Unity. Up until this point, I've been working with Game Maker Studio, and I saw people use Unity, and I was very, hesitant to learn about it because it seemed so complicated for my skill set that I had. But I went on the internet, started watching tutorials, and I really got a good sense of how to use Unity. So, you know, I started making just little tutorial games that I learned how to make from tutorials. And kind of after that stage, I decided that I wanted to make a bigger project that wouldn't take me, just a few days to make. So that's kind of the start of Raid on Redwood. Was I wanted to make a bigger game, and it kind of started with learning and getting really familiar with C sharp. Kind of my previous experience with code was primarily with GameMaker Studio. I learned GameMaker language, which is, from what I was explained, a slimmed down version of JavaScript. So Unity uses C Sharp, and it's a very great language to learn for beginners because one of the great aspects about Unity is that there is a huge community out there of people who can help you and guide you in the right direction if you have any problems or concerns. So that was kind of the first kind of hurdle that I got through, was getting more confident and learning how to use C sharp in the way that I felt the most comfortable with, even though sometimes I might not have the best solution or have things set up the correct way. But, there's always room to improve there. Another thing that I tried my best to learn early on was Blender. I've had even more experience 3D modeling. I started in Google SketchUp in middle school, and then I also upgraded to Maya when I was in college. The problem is when you're not a student, you can't really use Maya anymore. So I had to get comfortable with the idea of learning Blender. I've tried before, and it just never clicked with me with how complex the software seemed. Um, but starting on Raid, I really sat down and I made myself learn Blender. And the more that I learned, uh, the easier that it got. And eventually, I'm making 3D models, animating just fine in it using UV mapping. I'll still have some hurdles with Blender that I come across today. Excuse me. But for the most part, Blender's very rewarding to get into. Anything that you make in Blender, you can freely use. Unlike, Maya, for example, or any other program like ZBrush, I mean, you have to pay for those. So it's really beneficial to, learn Blender and get started with that. Um, Kind of the next big challenge for this game was the input system. When I started making the game, I was using the old input system in Unity, and I had, some complex code figured out for the keyboard and the mouse. And one of my biggest goals for my game was I want it to be as accessible as I could get it. And a part of that is to make it be controller supported. So I really wanted to tackle, you know, adding that controller support into my game. And I was already using the old input system, and I came across the new input system that made mapping the control inputs much easier on Unity. So there was a lot of work to be done with that. It's probably one of the challenging aspects to making Raid on Redwood that I have made so far, but for the most part, I've gotten through it, and I have made a few updates to that system to make it feel a little bit more nicer, and that's something I'm going to get into at the ending of this video. But that was probably one of the hardest challenges for making Raid on Redwood. Kind of the next step after that was I was ready to release the game once I, made all of the, mechanics, and I made all of the 3D models that I wanted to, and I could all put it together. And the easiest part of the game has been marketing the game. I have a background in graphic design, and I've been a part of marketing teams before, and it was really easy for me to jump into Photoshop and to make graphics and make it look all, what I need it to in order to sell the game. Kind of one of the problems with marketing your game is how to distribute it to other people. This is kind of my first big game on Unity, and I didn't really have any direction, and that's what led me to itch.io. I really enjoy itch.io. I think it's a great service, and for those who don't know, it's kind of the marketplace for indie devs. And what I like most about itch.io is they are very consumer friendly, and they're very dev friendly. They allow devs to pick whatever percentage they want to give to itch. So if you want to, give them 30% like you would with Steam, you can set that up. But the people who run itch know that sometimes people need the money, so you can give 0% if you want to, and they just don't care. They allow us as developers to set our own terms, and that's kind of a really great um, aspect of itch.io that a lot of people, can always take advantage of if they're thinking about putting their game on Steam. But I know that that's kind of like the next step above itch.io. And another aspect of itch.io that I like is me as a developer, I get to be consumer friendly as well. I advertise my game as free to download, but there is the option to donate. So, most of the time, if I'm posting something about my game, I'll say it's free to download, and people can go on there, download it. They can see the options to donate, and if they feel like I did a good enough job, they can support me that way. But to me, I want to approach, especially kind of early on with this, I want to more get my game out there, make it more accessible to more people. So, I'm not too worried about making a profit. Supporting me in my eyes is if you want to share a link to my itch.io page on your, social media account, go for it. Like, I will just absolutely be 100% behind you if you choose to do that. So, I really want to be pro consumer as well, and not necessarily be greedy in an industry that has a lot of issues with bigger companies being greedy all the time. So that's kind of where I went with the marketing strategy. I'm trying to do a little bit more, hence the dev blog that I'm making right now. And so yeah, I'm trying to improve, marketing the game, and trying to make a push towards those efforts. Um, but after I got the game released, some people downloaded my game. It's kind of been a rocky years or year and a half since I released it. But the good thing is I have gotten a good amount of feedback that probably about a month ago, I started really updating my game, and that's kind of the next step for me. I've been working on updates. Um, some aspects of the game that I wasn't a fan of was like the accuracy with the gun. I really wanted to improve, so I did improve that. And some of the animations were very clunky and not working very well. So I wanted to improve that as well. And, that kind of leads me to the next few months. I still have a lot of work to do with the plans that I have for Raid on Redwood, and I'm not ready to discuss any bigger announcements other than me working on a few bugs. But in the coming months, I will make a formal announcement for what this bigger update for Raid on Redwood is, and I hope you guys can, look forward to that. You can follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and I'll post those in the description below. And also, if you want to try out Raid on Redwood, as I said, it's completely free to try out. I will post that link to the itch.io page down below. But kind of my goal with these devlogs is to kind of give you a glimpse into my world and give you kind of an overview of my journey being a game developer. And another thing that I want to really try to do with these is, kind of give those who want to start game development or have questions of their own, whether it be with Unity, Blender, or their own journey. I'd like to kind of be there and help those people figure it out because I know how scary it is. So, if you have any questions, feel free to, message me on any of the social media you uh, have liked for Cinderblock. And I hope to hear from you soon. And I'll see you later. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy the game. Bye.